Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, and you're listening to Incredible Life Creator. My guest today is Lauretta Justin. She's an optometrist and founder of Optometry Divas. She is creating an incredible life with her high school sweetheart and 3 sons. Welcome, Lauretta.
Thank you so much for having me, Kimberly. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited about it.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about you. I understand that you grew up in Haiti, and then how did you get to where you're at?
I was born in Haiti, and by the time I turned 12 years old, my parents had moved to the States. And then they sent for me and my brother, who was younger than me, to come and join them so we could reunite the family. And then at about 12, I moved to New Jersey, which is where I spent my middle school and high school career. So that's how I came about to come into the United States.
Okay. Wow. And then what was when you first came over, what were some of the things that you learned or that were different, or anything surprised you?
Well, it's a funny story. I came in October 28th. So in Haiti, we don't celebrate Halloween, not quite like we do here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And in Haiti, in a lot of small towns, we would have, we would build our own tombs for our loved ones who died, and we would bury them sometimes in the backyard. So having headstones of from a cemetery like is not uncommon to see in the home of a Haitian person in certain parts of the country. So when I came here on October 28th, I remember when I was going to school a couple of days later and I was walking down the street, I saw all these tombstones with the words RIP written in it. So at first I started to think, how is it possible that all these families have the same person who died and they buried that person in front of their house? Who is RIP?
Yes, who is RIP?
I was like, what would all of them be named RIP? Then I started wondering, okay, first of all, I didn't speak English, so I didn't know that RIP was an abbreviation. That's number one. Number two, I started realizing, okay, it can't be the same person. They can't possibly all have the same name. Then I started wondering, maybe it's a pet, so I was really confused walking through the neighborhood and seeing all these tombstones. And then it wasn't until much later that I realized it was a Halloween decoration. There wasn't really anybody dead. It was just part of the celebration. So it was kind of a culture shock.
Yes, that would be a culture shock. That is wild. Thank you for sharing that. That is like, who would have even thought of that?
No, because it's a norm for us here to do that every year, but we don't realize other cultures don't do that. And when you see something that reminds you of a loved one, somebody who passed, a burial site, you think it's a burial site.
Right.
And, it wasn't. So.
It wasn't. Just decorations. Wow. So you wrote in your bio that you are married to your high school sweetheart. How did you meet him?
My husband and I, we met in church. When I first came, my parents, they took us to this church, and that's when we met. And in our churches, we have a tradition where the young people meet together. So we have what we call a youth group. And so we met in that type of environment. I was a new girl in the community. So he wanted to just, be nice to me and want to make sure if I had any questions, he gave me his number.
Just in case.
Just in case, And, I took it and I thought, this guy must be crazy. And I just put it somewhere. And at that time, I was interested in someone else. I had no interest at all. But he just kind of snuck in there and grew on me over time. And I am grateful every day that he was persistent. As many times as I said no, but
Yes.
I'm so glad he didn't quit, because if I didn't marry this man, it would have been the greatest mistake of my life.
Wow, that's amazing. Oh, that gives me chills. Wow. So what now after you said 21 years you've been married? For
21 years.
21 years. What are the things that you appreciate about him the most?
My husband is an honorable man. If he says yes, the ship is gonna go down, and he's going down with it. And I admire that about him. And he supports me 100%. He's my biggest cheerleader.
Wow.
And he really is my mentor, because he's such a wise person. And I don't know if I mentioned this on and what we wrote. My husband has Best disease, so he is visually impaired. However, I think because his vision is limited, and what he's able to see physiologically, I think sometimes he's able to see more, in his mind, or so. Because of that, he has such wisdom. So I look to him a lot for counsel, and he's also he has a license. He's a counselor too. So that kind of helps that he has a degree, in psychotherapy. But he is my mentor, and he is my hero. I love him to death.
Wow, that is amazing. And I noticed that behind every strong, powerful woman, and what I know of you is that's you. There's a man who is her cheerleader. Yes. And it's
such
a blessing to have that.
Yeah.
And
I like the fact he is secure in himself, in his own masculinity, in himself as a man.
Yes.
And no matter what I do, it doesn't somehow minimize or reduce his value as a person. He has his own personhood, so he's not intimidated or threatened. And instead, he's just more, how can we make it better? How can we do this? How can we, so I love that about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe that good relationships are two powerful people who are in alignment, and they come together. So they're their own separate person, but they make a team that's powerful and effective. And it sounds like that's the kind of team you have. So,
we work at it every day, Kimberly. It's like everything else. It doesn't happen by chance, or, there's no magic sprinkle dust, It's a daily commitment, and we don't always feel that great, or we don't always feel like it. Sometimes we don't like each other. You know what I mean? There are days like that, but we commit every day to start over again every single day. So it really is a work every day. It's work.
Yes, it is. And it's a wonderful thing having a night of sleep and waking up fresh, and it's all brand new again.
Yes.
So how did you get into optometry?
Well, it actually ties into my husband. We started dating when I had just graduated high school, and he's a year behind me. So he was in his senior year. I was in my freshman year in college. And around that time when we started dating, when I finally said, okay, I'll go out and date with you, he wanted to get his driver's license, and he had been wearing glasses all his life. But he had never been diagnosed. So when he went to the DMV, he failed the vision test, of course, and they told him, okay, well, you need to see a specialist and find out what we could do. So when he went to see the specialist, after many testing, they discovered that he had Best disease. So he had bilateral macular scar, and his vision was 2200 best corrected.
Oh.
And basically, for those of us who are not optometrists, that means if somebody sees 20/20, he can only see 10% of that vision. So his vision is bad.
Very
And so he
important.
would never be able to drive. So, you know, getting that news, you can imagine being 18 years old and being told you will never be able to drive. It does kind of shatter your life because there's so much that depends on that.
Yeah.
And here he was wanting to take this new girl out and impress her. And now, you know, a lot was going to be different. So when he began to share with me his story, I was really touched by it. And having had perfect vision all my life, I didn't know that there was a category in between total blindness and good vision. So I thought if your vision wasn't good, you just get glasses. I didn't know that there was a visually impaired category or legally blind where glasses doesn't help, but then you still can see it, it's not clear. So this just was very fascinating to me. And I started wondering, what did I do for people like that? And talking to a friend, and she told me, have you ever considered looking into optometry as a profession? And I said, no, I haven't. And that's where the idea came from. And that's how I went into it. I do understand what it's like to have real great vision. So when I see my patients, I kind of have a taste of both worlds, because I know as well what it's like when you can't see, because I see it every day, what my husband goes through. So it gives me compassion for my patients and a sense of urgency to help them as best I can, because I really understand the value of good vision.
Yes, yes. Wow, what an amazing story. And do you think that you do your optometry practice a little different than maybe the basic optometrist, just because of that? Is there certain, I don't know, skills or certain testing or things you would do differently that would make you more aware? Or
so what I do that I believe is different is when a patient says to me, when I examine a patient and they are -2, I don't look at it as, oh, I mean, it's just a -2. It's not a big deal. I actually sympathize and, in a sense, empathize with the patient, understanding -2 is a big deal.
Yeah.
-1/2 is a big deal. Anything that limits your vision quality is a big deal for your life. So I come from that empathetic position, and the patients appreciate that because, you know, when we're doing the vision test or we're doing the refraction, a lot of times in our profession, we tend to go better 1, better 2, and we don't realize the anxiety the patient is going through when they're looking through it, and it doesn't make a difference. Like, it doesn't matter. It's still blurry. You showed me 1, you showed me 2, it's blurry. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? And so I'm able to empathize with the patients because I understand what they're going through.
Yes, and that is so true. Because I'm an optometrist, and I, you know, listen to that every day, and it's like, yeah, they're anxious, they're afraid, not as probably as afraid as when they go to the dentist, but they're still anxious about getting the prescription right. So
they want to be sure. They don't want to fail the test, because if they fail the test, that means they fail.
Yeah.
And you know, living with my husband who has a vision disability, and 2 of my children are in the ASD spectrum, my life is surrounded by limitations and disability. So when somebody has anything that limits their functioning, I understand that it's difficult. And it's
and that's great that you have that empathy for people. So we met at Optometry Divas. I was connected with you on LinkedIn, and you said, we're coming to Atlanta. And I said, what's Optometry Divas? So tell me about that.
Well, you know, like I told you, I have 3 children, and 2 of them are special needs. And So our life is kind of crazy, the way of the things that we need to do, we have to do on a daily basis. And about 4 years ago now, I was really, really, really overwhelmed in my life. I was just stressed out all the time. I was seeing a lot of patients. I didn't have an associate at the time. I used to see 40 patients per day in my practice.
That's a lot of patients.
That was insane. That was insane. I've since changed that, but it was insane. And so seeing all these patients and coming home and cooking dinner and getting ready for a therapy session and sports, this and that every day, it's just really hard trying to manage it all. And I just didn't know what else I could do. And I was looking for someone that I could talk to that could relate to me on the personal and the professional level. I had friends that were on a personal level, but they didn't really understand what it's like to be an optometrist. They didn't understand my professional problems. And to me, they were all kind of meshed together. They were really all one in a sense. So I started looking in my community, and I called my society president, actually, and I asked them, is there a women's group, that I can go to? And he told me no, there wasn't one. And I said, well, I think it would really be good if we created something like that, because there are people like me. I would like to come to an environment where I could talk to other women and we can kind of share with each other, because it's very frustrating out here. And he's like, well, I mean, I really understand what you're saying, but what we have is what we have at this time. And the society we have meet the need of all optometrists. So I don't really see the need to have a separate group. I said, oh, okay, then. So I hung up and I thought, well, he's wrong.
It doesn't meet the needs of everyone. No.
So if I can't go through that avenue, what are other options available? So I had a rep of mine who I called at that time. She had a meeting once and had all women showed up in the meeting. I called her and I said, hey, would it be okay if I use that list and call and just kind of have a meeting on my own and just have all the women come? She's like, yeah, you could do that. So I just sent out an invitation and said, hey, my name is Lauretta. I sort of knew the women in my community, but we didn't really have any connection. We would just see each other at meetings, and we would come and there'd be the lecture, and then we would leave. That was it. That was the end of it. So, and I sent out an invitation. I said, I'm having a meeting, and for all of us women here in my office, I'm going to cater it. I have an idea that I'd like to share, and everybody's welcome to come. So there were 4 people that showed up to the meeting. So with me was 5, and I shared with them some of the frustration I was going through. And I asked them, do you guys go through this? Is this some of the things you go through as well? And they're like, yeah. So it's so important to know that we're not alone. And I think it would help us if we had a group like that. And we agreed, and then we created a little board. And that's how it all got started. It really got started with just me wanting to connect with other optometrists who were like me, who were going through the same thing as I was. But then it began to, grow as we started having more meetings. I started realizing there's a lot of us in practice who have different needs that are unique to us women. And a lot of times we don't know how to meet those needs. So the idea of how do we promote your business? How do we promote you as a person? And I started realizing there are a lot of us who are in practice that sometimes are taken advantage of because we lack the knowledge, because we just don't know really. And so I began to think, well, how can we empower each other so that way we are stronger business women and we're stronger women in general in all our lives. So that's where the whole mission of empower, connect, and promote came from. It was always my goal is to be able to do that for other women, but also for me as well, because I believe I learn just as much as everybody every time I go to a meeting.
Wow. And it is spreading because I'm in Atlanta, and you came there, and we had a beautiful dinner, and the connections were amazing. and I'm still, talking with
Yeah.
those women. And some of them are, 2 hours away from me, but we all came together in one place. And one thing that I noticed that that a big event that you had, the was it the red dress event? Is that what it was?
Red shoes.
Red shoes, the red shoes event. Okay, tell me about the red shoes event.
So the goal of Optometry Divas is to establish a chapter in every major city in the country, and ultimately the world is what we want to be able to do, right? So one of the meetings that we do, we have 4 quarterly meetings, and one of them is a red shoe contest. And in the red shoe contest, that meeting is a continuing education meeting, but once the lecture is over, the party begins. And so what we do is everybody wears red shoes for the event. And then when we get to the part of the contest, everybody who has red shoes on, who's participating, get up and walk across the aisle and demonstrate and show their shoes and strut their stuff. And then we have 3 judges that gets to judge who has the hottest red shoes based on 3 categories. It needs to have a wow factor, it needs to be fashion forward, and it needs to be some type of creativity. So based on these 3 criteria, the judges select who has the hottest red shoes. And we have three, we picked the last 3 finalists, and out of those 3, we picked the winner. The winner gets a crown.
I love it.
And you know what? I mean, at first, this is one of the shoes that we had from one of the events as part of our favors that we gave to everybody. But this crown just changes women. I am shocked every time. This is the crown. I have my own,
Yes.
Yeah, some days you just put it on and just kind of look in the mirror. But the idea of the crown, it's a fun event, but it is also an event where we women have an opportunity to actually compliment each other as opposed to comparing to each other, which is what we do all the time. When we come in, we're like, oh man, she looks so nice. I need to lose 5 pounds. And
we're always comparing. Yes. We're always comparing.
The purpose of this event is to redirect our focus when we are focusing on complimenting each other and uplifting each other. And the red shoes is just used as a means, really, to just get us to do that. That's the purpose of the event.
Yes, that's amazing. And the other thing I really liked about that is that I've been in optometry for many years, 27, 28 now. And whenever I went to an event or continuing education, I mean, the information is good and important, but like you said, people went, they sat there, they listened, and they left. They hardly socialized or anything, and also everything very serious. Like everything's so serious, and everyone has their business face on. And to have an event where people can actually let go and be themselves and just be, who they are and have fun that's what really attracted me to the Optometry Divas.
Oh, thank you.
So, yes.
I like it. One of the questions, and you guys, you did this when I came to Atlanta. It's very hard to be serious when you have to answer a question about the last time you almost peed on yourself.
Yes, we did.
It's very difficult.
We had some conversations come up that were quite different. They would never come up in a regular continuing education.
It makes us humans and just people.
Yes.
So that way it reduces the pressure of having to be this, doctor who has everything figured out. At that moment, it's okay for us to be, this word that I've just been introduced to and I love, it's called flawsome. It's okay. Blossom. Yes, that's my new word. It's okay to be flawsome. it's okay, because that's how we really are. And that does so much, taking that pressure out. That like, oh, thank God,
It does.
I could just relax.
Awesome. So, tell me a little bit about what it takes to develop a winning mindset.
I personally believe that there are 5 steps that you need to do to develop a winning mindset. First, you need to identify what you believe, what your belief systems are. That's so important because we live our lives according to what we believe. We do everything according to what we believe. The thing is, we don't always know everything we believe. We have beliefs that are underlying and are subconscious, if you will, if I were to use that really clinical word. But there are beliefs that we developed when we were a kid, watching Bugs Bunny. You know what I mean? We were watching Bugs Bunny, or one of my favorite cartoons was The Roadrunner.
Yeah.
You know, you could really develop a belief about you never succeeding watching The Roadrunner. Because, you know, the coyote just never could get it right.
No.
And
Never.
I know it's silly, but if you're 7 or 8 years old and you're watching this, you can make a whole beliefs about life based on this cartoon, because that's the level that you're in. And then you create this belief at 7 or 8, it locks in as an operating system for you. And now you are 37, 38, and you're still operating based on that belief. You just don't know it. So identifying what you believe, you're really searching to see, what do I believe about this? What do I believe about the world? How do I see the world? For me, when I was growing up, because of my circumstances in life, in my story, the world was not a safe place. And the world was a place where you just never knew where the other shoe was going to drop. So I was always cautious. I was always nervous. And if something good happened, I was terrified because I thought something bad was going to happen thereafter. So because of that, I had developed this belief system because of my personal experiences. As I grew older, I realized everybody did not have that experience. So therefore, the world cannot be only the way I think it is. There are other possibilities. So, but until then, I just, you know, kind of lived like that. And there's a lot of good experiences, good opportunities, good situations that I missed because I thought, you know, no, nothing good can happen. If it's good, that means something bad would happen. So because of that, I didn't enjoy it. So I missed out on all of those opportunities. So I definitely say, look into your belief system. And next, I would say identify some core values, some things that are important for you. When I was seeing 40 patients a day, and I thought seeing 40 patients a day is wrong. That is not my point. My point is, it wasn't a value for me. And but I didn't know that at that time. I was just doing everything, but I had no purpose, no real reason, no strategy. I was just doing whatever I thought I had to do. But around that time, my husband and I, we came together. We identified 5 core values for our families, what we were gonna live by. And we had our faith. That was our first core value. Then we have our family and friends. Then we have our finance, and then we have fitness and fun. Those are our 5 core values that we live by. My husband came up with it, right? That's 5, the Justin family core values. And identifying those really helped us, because then we can organize our calendar according to those, our time according to the things that are important to us. Our family is important. So then it came before certain type of financial endeavors that, you know, I was doing. If it was family, because that's the core value, I'd do that first. So that reduced a lot of guilt, and it made life a little bit easier, because then we realized we didn't really need to be in every sports. The kids hate sport. They didn't like it. So we were doing all of this and driving myself crazy for no reason. So we stopped. We started doing other things that we enjoyed, like going to the parks. We have Disney down the street for us, get annual passes. We started doing that instead. And we all have so much more fun because we started living according to what is important to us. And then after that, I would say definitely identify a mission, a vision, and a purpose for your life, whatever it is you do. So you know exactly what it is you want to do, where you want to go, and especially why you want to do it. So those are the 5 things I would say has helped me. I'd recommend those.
Wow. And for you, what is your mission and purpose here?
My mission and purpose is kind of merged in together. Is to share and care, really, is what I'm here to do, is to share and care. And I love to love upon people and to care for people. I do a lot of mentoring and I do a lot of empowering because it is my purpose and I love to do it. So that is my mission in life. Really, I have 3 words that I use. I say mentor, empower, and care is what is my mission is personally. And that's why I exist. And I do it with my family. I do it pretty much I do it with my patients. I do it everywhere I go, is to mentor, empower, and care.
And you mentioned that a lot of your decisions were made because you didn't feel safe or you felt like things were going to go wrong. Do you want to share a little bit more about that? How that was a realization? How did you figure that out?
Well, and I lived a pretty rough life in my childhood, coming from a very impoverished country, and having my family being split for many years. And actually, when I was reunited, the whole family was reunited together after years of being separated. And when I came to the United States, I have 6 siblings. So it's a pretty big family. It's 7 of us. And so we were all, I'd say 5 of us were together in the same house at that time, my mom and my dad. And within 6 months of us getting together like that, my mother passed away from a car accident. And so I was 14 years old around that time. And that was just one of the kind of tragedies that would happen in our lives. And it was very constant. And it seems to be the more consistent thing that would happen to us more than anything else. So because of those different experiences, a lot of trauma, it created that belief system for me that life was like that. So I kind of lived like someone who was in war. When you are at war, there's no time to mourn if somebody dies. There is no time to stop and cry. You just survive. You just go every day because your purpose is to make it to the next day. And that's how I lived every day. I'm making it to the next day and I would just survive. It wasn't until around 2010 that I had an encounter with a person. I was having coffee, of all things, at Barney. And then she's telling me a story about her life. And I thought, man, why is this lady telling me all this stuff? I don't really want to hear it. I was like, oh, wow, that's just, wow, that's terrible. Oh my goodness. And then and then she told me something that happened to her when her mother passed away, that she hadn't cried. And I said, oh, I totally understand that. I lost my mom when I was 14 and I never cried. And she turned around and looked at me and held my hand and looked at me right in my eyes. And she said, Lauretta, that is not normal. And for some reason, the word, when she told me not crying at all after you lost your mother is not normal, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, I started crying right there in the little shop, and I couldn't stop it. I had no idea what was happening to me. Now I was panicking because I don't cry, right? I don't cry. But now here's all these tears. At least I should say at that time, I didn't cry. I do cry now.
Yeah.
But all these tears coming out, and it's as if this flood is coming out. I had no idea what was happening to me. And I was terrified because I had never felt all this emotion at this time. Prior to that, I didn't feel, I just did whatever I needed to do, and there was no emotion. So that year, everything just came crushing in. The death of my mother, all of everything that's happened to me up until that time, all rushed in. And I spent a whole year pretty much grieving a lot of loss. So that's when I started to realize, wait, the way I've been living my life, the way I've been thinking, maybe that's not accurate. So I started counseling around that time.
Mm. Wow. It's amazing what you find out when you ask questions. And if someone else is in your same situation, there's, lots of people that lose a parent, or they haven't really dealt with the loss of a parent, and sometimes the loss of a child. What would be the best coping skills? What would be the best habits to bring you out of that? So obviously you needed to grieve and you did your grieving, but then there's a point where it's time to stop grieving and continue with
Yes.
life. So do you have any habits or any things that you did to encourage yourself or get through the process?
So what helped me a lot, I did a lot of journaling to bring out the feelings that I had buried out. I needed to bring them out of me. I had the analogy that my heart is like a flask, and it can only contain so much. If it's filled with hurt and just rage, or, a lot of strong feelings, I don't want to call them negative, but if it's filled with feelings that are associated with negative experiences, it's difficult to feel the other ones that are happy, love, joy, because you have to empty your heart so you can feel again. So the first thing I would say is really start with where you are and just be honest with where you are. And there are times where I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to. I didn't want to deal with it. And then just be gentle with yourself. Be honest with yourself to where you are and kind of walk yourself through the journey. But journaling helped a lot for me. Talking to my counselor helped a lot. I had to get to the point where I was ready to see somebody as well. So I don't recommend jumping into that until you're really ready to do it. And talking to people who love and who care for you. My husband and a friend, one friend and my husband were the two people that I shared some of this situation with, and they were very supportive and they helped me a lot. So letting other people love you and be there for you is extremely important, and that helped me.
Nice. And you said you had 3 boys. So how old are they now?
16, 14, 11.
16, 14, 11. So a few years ago when you were going through this, they would have been a little younger. What was their response to mommy kind of going through this and actually changing? Did you notice differences in their behaviors or how they interacted with you?
I think the most important thing that happened where they saw me as a weak person as well. And prior to that, I was always strong. I mean, I always did everything. I seemed like I was Wonder Woman, really. It's just all powerful. And I think that's the perception my children had of me. But when they saw that other side of me, I think it helped them realize that nobody's always strong. Nobody, have it all together. So based on the conversation we've had, when they saw me crying, they're like, Mommy's crying? What's wrong? So them experiencing that, I think, helped them realize that it's okay for them to cry too. It's okay that they have bad days too. They don't have to be perfect. Everything doesn't have to be all right. They can always maintain their composure. I was very much a composed person. So that's the best experience, I think, happened to all of us as a family, is all of us realizing that it's okay. It's okay not to have it all together. So.
And you said you met your sweetheart in church. What part does faith play in your life?
Faith is the most important thing for us. Believing in God is so important for us because it is what sustains us as a family and me personally. I believe everybody has different type of faith and they believe in different things. And I respect everybody's faith, whatever it is they believe in. But I can only speak from my experience, what has worked for me. And believing in a God that is gracious, that is good, that provides, that loves and cares for me, helps me in difficult times. Believing that there is an unlimited amount of resources available in the hands of an all-powerful being who is on my side, gives me courage and it gives me strength. And when I face dark times, difficult times, so it helps us in our everyday life to know no matter what happens in life that we cannot control, it's okay. God is with us. So faith is very important for us. We are not the most religious family, in that, you know, we don't always go to a house of worship. We do go, but we're not always there. But the faith for us is an everyday walk. It's the way we live, the way we talk to people, the way we show care, the way we show compassion, the way we support, the way we empower each other. And that's the faith for us as a family. For example, the way we care for our patients in our office is a faith walk for us. So that's kind of how we interpret it, and that's how we live it every day.
Thank you. So what are you excited about now? What would you like to tell people about? You mentioned something about a mastermind, some consulting, some other things. So tell me what you're excited about and what do you want to tell us about?
Let's see. Wow. Okay. So I'm excited about Optometry Divas, and I'm excited about the growth that's happening and that we're able to reach other women and connecting with other women. I'm connecting with so many people that had I not started this, I would have never met so many wonderful people like yourself who are doing incredible things. And I just feel so honored to be able to meet people like that. You know, it encourages me to meet people like you, Kimberly. And without Optometry Divas, we wouldn't have met. So I'm excited about that and the growth of it. And next year, we're going to go through more cities than we did this year. I've had people reach out already and say, I want to be an ambassador. I want to bring it to my city. So I'm excited about that and what it will do. I'm excited about the mastermind group and the consulting program. They really do go hand in hand. They're a combination. The reason I'm excited about it is because I know what it's like to have a private practice and to struggle and to wake up every day, you're stressed out. You don't know how you're going to make it. You don't know how, can you see me?
Yes.
You don't know, you have so many stressors when you're a private practice because you're not only the doctor, you're the CEO, you're the HR director, you are the manager, you are the billing person. You are everything. And in the consulting program, I walk my clients through 3 steps: developing a winning mindset, a winning strategy, and a winning team. And what I'm excited about is their excitement as they start implementing some of the things we're learning. And when they come back to me and their eyes are like, I had no idea this was possible. And I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know my practice could reach this level. I didn't know my life could be like that. That means everything to me. That, and I don't want to tear up, right? I'm tearing up right now.
It's your passion. You were right on purpose and passion.
I'm tearing up right now because I just had this conversation recently with a client, and she was so stressed out when we first started, and we've been only working together for 2 months. And when she came back, she said, oh my God, I didn't know that my life could be different. And being able to do that, I mean, it means the world to me. If I can help one person not have the experience that I had and move through it faster, I'd say, I've done my job. Oh man,
what a huge purpose you have. And there are so many women optometrists in that position, so many small business owners in that situation.
Yeah, and I in the position that we're in, you know, we are kind of in the middle. We're like a puppet, and there's so many strings that are pulling at us.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times we feel alone.
Yes.
And so my goal is to help us see, number one, we don't have to be a puppet, and we certainly are not alone.
Yes. Thank you so much. So Lauretta, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and for all the wonderful things you're doing. Thanks for what you shared, because I know it's going to help people as they're going through these tough times to say, oh, there is a light. There is an opening where I can come out of it. And thank you for the Optometry Divas. And I'm so happy that I got to meet you through that. And oh, you just enhanced my life by being in it. So thank you. And I'm so excited about all the women optometrists you're going to help with your consulting, with your mastermind. And you can just change the face of all optometry and for women. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the connection we had. You know, I even cried. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
But you know, and I'm excited because that says a lot about your program, and also to your passion for what you're doing. So I'm just excited to be connected with you, and I'm excited of how you're improving and enriching my life as well. I have your book, and thank you for it, and I'm loving it. And I'm even sharing it with a friend because I bought a copy for her to have. So keep doing what you're doing, and I look forward to see the great things that happens for you.
All right, thank you. Well, good luck on your journey as you continue, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, take care.
All right.